Okay, so I've got quite a bit to talk about. It's been a journey of a few years to get to here where we are today. And I just thought I'd structure it in a way, because maybe some of you have seen me speak before, or maybe some of you are already customers of Up. So I just thought I'd structure it in a way where I start with what are we trying to achieve? Actually, it's really simple. We're going to be the number one bank in Australia for under 35s. We're on the journey there. The number one bank in Australia for under 35s today is Commonwealth Bank. They've got 39% market share, 1.86 million customers. So we need 2 million customers. We're giving ourselves 3 years to get there. We're 1 year in. I was waiting for you to applause, wasn't it? No. So, like, it might take us 5 years. It might take us 10 years. But you know, this is our mission. This is what we're going for, and we're doing everything we can to try and achieve that. Now, we're not the only people doing it. There's a whole bunch of others that have formed around us as well. So I'll talk a little bit about that. Just to start with, why are we even doing it? Like, why do I care? I'm a software guy. I'm a software developer. I'm building technology. Why do we even care? Well, actually, we care about people. We care that people are disconnected from their money. How can we help people to take back control of their money? How can we help people to not be stressed about their financial life? Well, that's what drives every single person that works at Ferocia. That's my company, and we actually build Up. And so for us, that's the most important thing. That's the driving factor. So as I go through the presentation, I thought it was an interesting theme for you guys to understand, not just about the technology that we're doing, not just about the disruption, but the reason why we're doing that, I think, is really important. So yeah, we have an amazing team. Incredible people is the cornerstone. It's the foundation of what we do. Everybody who joined Ferocia to build Up in the first place is somebody that I had worked with, or that someone else in the team had worked with over the last sort of 20 years. It's a fairly young team. Some people have come over from Silicon Valley. Some people have come from the UK or elsewhere. But we're all based here in Melbourne. The values, we hold very close to our heart, and everyone puts up their values. I made a comment yesterday, and so I put this slide up so you can all see what we're about. But I made a comment yesterday which I want to repeat. It doesn't matter what we say. It doesn't matter what anybody says. What matters is what we do. So I want all you guys and all of our customers to judge us by our actions, to see how we perform against these values. It's no good us just saying we like this or we believe in that. It's about how do we actually perform, and then you guys judge us. And so we will live and die by what we do. So yeah, design is something else that I used to have a design company a few years ago, but everybody at Ferocia who's building Up cares about design. In fact, I saw Hannah in the audience over here. Hannah's been with us for a number of years. She was actually our first designer at Ferocia. Design is actually embedded in everything we do. We don't have a design team and an engineering team and a solutions team and a business development team, whatever. We just design as part of who we are. And I think that's an important part of the theme about why we exist. So the other thing that helps us to achieve this disruption is that we have absolutely amazing partners. So to run a bank in Australia, you have to have a banking license, right? So I don't know, does everyone have one of them in their back pocket? Just so that you understand what I mean is that in the last 100 years in Australia, 2 Australian companies have got a banking license. So one of them was 28 years ago, and one of them was 70-something years before that. So it's not commonplace to get a banking license, and you need lots of money. And when I say lots of money, like you need $100 million just in reserve and another $100 million for operations and so on. So you need a lot of money, and it's very difficult to get. But the law, the regulations, the banking regulations have been changing. And so they've changed in the UK, and they've changed in some other countries in Europe. And they've just started changing in Asia, in Hong Kong and Singapore. And about 2 years ago, they've changed in Australia. So now there's an opportunity for people to get a restricted banking license. So anyway, we didn't do that because we started this journey before that regulation changed. So we were the first organisation in Australia to run a bank with regulatory consent, and we're not a bank, we're a software company. But we partnered with Bendigo and Adelaide Bank, and they are the 5th largest retail bank in Australia. Now, we've been working with Bendigo for 8 years. I won't bore you with all the details, but we also, just by the way, we build the 5th biggest bank in Australia as well, just on the side. So we do about $8 or $9 billion a month through the platform. We have 1.8 million customers. We have 800,000 monthly active users. So that's how we make money for the time being. And then building a digital bank is a bit of a hobby. So yeah, Ferocia is my company I already mentioned. MasterCard is pretty obvious. If you're going to run a bank, you need to have a card. We have a debit card. Google's interesting, and I'll talk a little bit more about them. But Google we use, we're the first cloud-hosted bank in the world on Google. So it's amazing. When they announced that they were launching in Australia, we were over in San Francisco. We heard that Google were coming to Australia. And so we started talking with them, and we became the first retail bank in Australia to launch a cloud-hosted bank, and the first with Google. There was one other one in business banking. You might have heard of Tyro, and they're using Amazon. So for us, it was a great opportunity to foster that relationship and build it, but it actually moved into more because we found out things about Google, which I'll talk about in a minute, Afterpay and TransferWise. So these brands are significant, but do they align with our values? So it matters to me where your money is held. You might not care, but you should care. is your money going to good use or is your money being used for bad purposes? With Bendigo Bank, they have provided to their community, they have two parts to their bank. They have the sort of corporate bank, if you like, and there's like many different parts of their bank, but there's one really important part, which is the community bank. It's the best community bank in the world, and it operates right across Australia. It's like 200 or 300 different locations. So they have 500 different areas in Australia that they operate in, and about 200 or 300 of them are these community banks. The community banks are owned by the people in the community. And so 1,000 people put in $1,000 and that creates the first $1 million of capital. And then 50% of the profits go back into the community. And 80% of those profits have to be used on the local community. So the local football club, the local, I don't know, bridge over the creek or the local sports hall or whatever, all of that is funded by the bank and the bank is owned by the people. So for us, that aligns with who we are and what we want to represent. We want to give back to people. We want to help people in their financial lives. They do all sorts of other amazing things, Bendigo. So they're a really trusted brand and you might not know it, but they were rated 13th in the world for making the world a better place. And that was only a couple of years ago and they're still doing great things. And they're also very environmentally conscious and so they have their own green products that they offer, but they also offer green products for their customers, and they also white label a lot of things, so their partners then have green products and so on. So it's really important. The other one that we find interesting is Google. So you might not know it, but Google is not just the largest in technology, they are the largest company in the world to purchase renewable energy. And when I say largest, I mean like 10 times larger than anybody else. If you look at the top companies in the world like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, these sort of companies, they all run these data centers, they buy renewable energy, but Google, the chart looks like this with Google, and then here's everyone else. And so Google actually, despite what you might think and what they might do, they have a goal to be carbon neutral and to offer carbon-free power to everybody in all their data centers right across the world. So whether you're using their services for search or whether they're using their services for documentation or whether you're using UpBank, you know you're doing some good. So that's what's really important. So I just wanted to touch on that. I don't want to dwell on it too much, but I just wanted to make the point so you understand why we're here. We're also here because of our customers. So today, me standing here, we're signing up between 500 and 1,000 new customers a day. We're the second fastest growing bank in Australia, just behind Commonwealth Bank. We're the number one rated banking app in Australia. So if it wasn't for our customers, then we wouldn't be here, we wouldn't exist. But it goes deeper than that. You can't say, I'm building a bank for my customers, I listen to what my customers want, and then I build it. That's just bullshit. You listen to your customers, they don't know what they want because they're only getting what they get from the existing banks. So of course we listen to our customers. I was at the back of the room before in the last presentation. I admit I was on social media. I was answering questions from our customers. Like for me, being connected with the customer, really, really important. So you can't just listen to what the customer wants and do that. You have to also provide stuff the customer doesn't even know they want yet. And so I think it's very important to have your customer engaged, but it's also important to take your customer on a journey and deliver that value that you represent for the customer. So Up is for everybody, on that note. We don't build Up for a particular demographic. We don't say, okay, we're going to target, female 18 to 22-year-olds. We had a whole panel on this yesterday. It was really interesting. Oh, I thought it was interesting. There's a video on YouTube if you want to check it out. But that's why I said responding to feedback is important. But also, we work with people who have disabilities, for example, to make sure that they're able to use Up. So we have someone who comes to the office who's blind. How do you use a mobile app if you're blind? Well, we have screen readers. How do you use screen readers if the software doesn't work with them? So right from the very ground up, we make sure that everything that we do is accessible to everybody. So our customers love us, and you can, I'm not going to go through all these, but we have like literally thousands and thousands of customers sending us messages about how amazing we are. We have two types of customers. Those customers that give us a 5-star rating and give us some great comments, and then those customers that can't sign up, they give us a 1-star rating. Usually we don't let people sign up because they have a fraud or there's some other reason why they can't sign up to our bank. And all of our systems are automated. If they can't pass through the initial stages, they get grumpy because they want to get on Up. And they give us a 1-star review. But anyway, regardless, we're still the number one rated banking app in Australia. So the other thing we do with our customers is that we grow through word of mouth. So when we first started Up, it was just me and a few other people. I was the 7th customer of Up. I was disappointed, I wasn't the first. There was a small group of us. So there was 25 of us that were eating our own dog food, like just our staff. Then we added some of the Bendigo Bank guys, we added some of the Google guys and so on. And then we went out to our family and friends, and then we had 2,500 people, and then we opened up for everybody. So that was in October of 2018, just over a year ago, about 15 months ago. And 50% today, and nearly 50% still, but 50% of the sign-ups were for free because people just loved Up. So they just tell their mates or tell their brother or tell their mum or tell the whoever. Now what we do is we provide an incentive for people. So because the referral turned out to be our number one way to grow, we started saying to people, what if we gave them $5? Or what if we gave them $10? How would that work? And what we've found is that you can influence behaviour, but you don't necessarily get the right type of customers. We don't want someone going out and getting $100 for signing up 10 people and then never using never using the bank. So what we found is that there's certain sweet spots. So at the moment, the way we do it is that you can have $5 if you refer somebody, and they get $5. But we use it a very token gesture. The reason it's not $50 or $100 is because then we'd be buying customers, and it's just useless. By giving someone a small token like $5, they can buy an ice cream or a Mars bar or a salad, or they can have a coffee or whatever it is, and they get to experience what it's like to use Up. And by experiencing it, and then they go, holy moly, this is amazing, this is better than any other bank I've ever seen, and then suddenly they become hooked and they want to tell their mates and they want to use it and they get some benefit from it. What we get out of that is that we get rapid growth. We also get to implement our value system amongst our customer base. So that's what's really important to us. The other thing is we have, of course, things that people want. So no monthly fees. Anybody in the room happy to pay monthly fees? No, I didn't think so. I didn't give you a long time to put your hand up, but most people don't like it, so of course we don't have it. The other thing that's interesting for us is that we have a great interest rate. It happens that today we have the best interest rate in Australia. Well, that's what it happens, but that's almost a fluke. We have a good interest rate, and the RBA, the Reserve Bank of Australia, passes down the interest rates, and then the banks pass them on to their customers. Last year, I think there were 3 or 4 of those, and we passed down the first couple. And then we said, no, stuff it. We're not going to pass it on. And so we didn't pass it on. And every other bank did. And so we ended up with the best rate in the market. Everyone's copying us now. So all the new neobanks you'll see come with exactly the same rate as us. But that's okay. We're happy to create that disruption and to help fuel that fire. So a great rate's one thing, but my view and our view is that a great rate is not enough. It doesn't help implement our values. If everybody wanted to use Up to get a great rate, we'd just go bankrupt. So it doesn't make sense. What we want to do is we want to help people with a great rate when their money's sitting there and not using it, but we also want to help people understand how to save better. We talk about spending wisely and saving effortlessly. If we can achieve those 2 things with people, then we're happy to pay a great rate. But we're not trying to win customers using a great rate. So one of the ways we try to win customers is we have these things, we have auto saving capability, we have these things roundups, and we have instant savers. So we made it so that you can actually just click and create a saver. And in the last 12 months, we've created 260,000 new savers. Now these savers, we had this idea where people can put an emoji on the saver, and so I can tell you that there are, I don't know, however many, I'll make up the number, but 17,462 people saving up for a present for somebody. Or there's 69,462 people saving up for the deposit on a first home or whatever, because they put the emoji on there, and we know exactly, we have a little algorithm that we developed to look at the emoji, so we can see exactly what it is that people are saving for. But what we found is that people will create 5, 10, 20 savers. We're the only bank in Australia, up until about 3 days ago, the only bank in Australia for the last year that pays your bonus interest on all of your savings accounts. Right? Everyone else pays it on one. Why? It doesn't make sense. So for us, if you've got any money with us, we want you to be able to earn the interest rate, earn the bonus interest. So anyway, I'm not going to dwell on it too much. Today, actually I go back, today, actually the last couple of days we've been doing something, and so I'll just tell you about it. In the olden days, like 10 months ago, in the olden days you had to pay each other with a BSB account number, right? So maybe we'll go back 2 years if I could not make a joke. So 2 years ago you had to pay each other with a BSB account number in Australia. So of course we have BSB account number, no worries. And then this new thing came along, the new payments platform. So like I said, we do 2 things. One thing is we build the 5th largest bank with Bendigo Bank, and the other is we build Up, and we also work with Bendigo. And so for the 5th largest bank, when we did that, we're actually the first bank in Australia to use the new payments platform to do real-time payments. Now, a whole bunch of the other banks, they took about a year or 2 to get on board, but now that like most of you would bank with a bank or a credit union or whatever that supports the new payments platform. But it's the new way for you to pay each other instantly. And so that's cool. You can do it with your mobile phone number or your email address. The problem is that nearly everyone in this room banks with a big bank and had already given their mobile phone number or their email address to CommBank or ING. How many people in the room bank with ING? Like nearly everyone. How many people in the room bank with Commonwealth Bank? Nearly everybody. So that means that none of you could use your email address or your mobile phone number to get your pay ID, right? That's pretty shit. So we thought, okay, well, we'll go to the government, we'll complain about that. And so we got an exemption to actually create, we're the only bank in Australia that automatically generates you a new pay ID. It's a randomly generated code, and it's blah, 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 at up.me. That's mine, if in case you want to send me money. So that was cool, and that was innovative, but that's so last year. A couple of days ago, we announced that we now have Up handles, and so we call them Up name. And so my Up handle is Dom, and so you can just go $Dom, and it's exactly the same as Twitter or Facebook or anything like that, and you can actually just send money to Dom. Now, we announced this 2 days ago, and at the moment today, we're signing up 1,000 new Up names every 10 minutes. we've had to rate limit the system, and we had to triple the size of our Google Cloud in order to control the demand. It's out of control. It feels like the start of Twitter. It's amazing. Okay, so that's a little bit about why we exist and what we care about, and then that's a little bit about, I guess, how we're getting to where we are. Now, I'm about sort of halfway through. I've got, I don't know, 150 slides. I'm not going to go through them all. I just wanted to take you on that journey, and now I'll take you on a little bit of a journey about how we actually do it and how we're tracking. So the first thing is this is technology-led banking. If I put these brands in front of you, I might say, do you know these brands? And of course everyone does. It's the largest telecommunications company in the world, now owned by Microsoft. It's the largest taxi company in the world, the largest hotels company in the world, the largest media streaming company in the world, and the largest retailer in the world. They're all technology companies. They all started with 2 people in a garage. They previously didn't have experience in that industry, and they've absolutely killed it, just destroyed it. Like, it's an absolutely amazing story over the last 10 years for these businesses. And that's great. It's exactly what we're doing in banking. We're a technology company. We're technology-led. Tell me a bank in the world that's good at technology. That's what I expected. Nobody knows. There are a few. So BBVA in Spain is very good. They're very famous for being good at technology. DBS in Singapore, they have a pretty good rap sheet. In Australia, CBA are good at marketing. One of our values is not to bag the competition, so I'm not going to go there, but I'm just saying that we are a technology company, and so we're using that capability to disrupt the industry. So what does that look like? That looks like the customer, technology and design merged together. You bring those 3 things together, and what you do is you create magic. Hard for me to say what that magic is. I just know that every time we do something, people love it. We do it all here in South Melbourne. We're just 10 minutes down the road. As I said, when we started, we're just a couple of people. We're now 53 people. We're growing fairly quickly, and that's great. But we're using technology to help us to deliver something different than any other bank. So I'll give you an example. As a software company, we deploy our entire banking platform in 45 seconds. So that would normally take months, right? So 45 seconds. That means that we can actually spin up thousands of instances of the platform, and then we can test every single possible scenario, every feature, every use case, every mobile device, every operating system, everything, and we can do all of that in 26 minutes. Now, because we're doing it in 26 minutes, that's twice an hour, that's 48 times a day. I'm going to say 50 for round numbers. So if we can deploy software 50 times a day and test our entire infrastructure, our entire platform, that means that we could release software to customers quicker. Now, what happens if something goes wrong? What happens if there's an earthquake or a natural disaster or bushfires or we all lose power or the data center goes down? We have replicated our entire banking system to Singapore in 1.5 hours. So even if our bank goes down, we're only down for a short period of time. The average Australian bank in the last 12 months has been down for 15 days. Not minutes or hours, but 15 days. How long has Up been down for? We have a 99 uptime. We've been down for 46 minutes. 35 of those minutes were a global Google outage. So that leaves us with, what does that leave us with? Someone who's good at maths? Like that leaves us with, 13 minutes or 11 minutes of downtime? Something like that, that we've been able to achieve because of the infrastructure that we created. The other thing we did is that we set ourselves a goal, which was, could we deploy new features and new technology to our customers 5 times a day? Okay, so our average at the moment is nearly 7. It's a little bit over 6. So for the last 2 years, since we've been building Up, or 2.5 years, we've averaged literally 6 software deployments a day. That means every time you log into Up, there's something new and exciting. So not only can banks not keep up with us, but technology companies can't keep up with us. Okay, quick update. Everyone loves us. I mean, I can go back, but there's lots of awards. Every year we win awards, every month it feels like. This guy I don't know. I met him actually recently at a conference, but he's somebody I don't know who used to work at Combank. He now is starting a digital bank in Malaysia, and this is what he said about us. I just thought it was really cool. If I was one of the big 4 banks, I would be extremely concerned about how to compete with this. So we're doing okay. For 5 months of our first year, we were number 2 in the App Store behind the Commonwealth Bank. In terms of banks, like there's some other non-bank companies there. So second fastest growing or second most downloaded app in Australia for banking. There are other banks there too. We are currently, after 15 months, the highest rated bank across all sectors, like every single bank. So credit unions, building societies, neobanks, 4-pillar banks, everything. So we're 4.8 in the App Store, and across our entire category, we average 4.7 across both App Store and Google Play. People obviously love us. How have we gone? So basically month-on-month growth, month on month, week on week, day on day. So we're at 185,000 customers, adding in over 500, close to 1,000 customers a day. Most of our customers skew to a younger demographic. That just happens to be, I think, because we're still only in our infancy. So with just a couple of 100,000 customers, or less than a couple of 100,000 customers, it's still only the early adopters, and the early adopters tend to be more tech savvy and a bit younger. But our oldest customer is actually 102. So anybody can use Up, as I said at the beginning. It's a really good spread right across Australia. The other interesting thing is that Bendigo is our licensed banking partner, and Bendigo have a strong regional presence. And so this is really good for them too, because most of our customers are in the cities. We allow people to sign up with a foreign passport. So we did a couple of O weeks, and when we did the O weeks at the university, we found that there are a lot of people who were first-time Australians. And so they don't have an Australian passport, so we made it possible to sign up with a foreign passport. So about 7% of our customers so far have signed up with a foreign passport from 136 different countries. And so we're not just powering Australians, we're trying to sort of like power the world, I guess. And the other thing is that upsiders, we call everybody, upsiders love to travel. And so with the younger demographic, we've seen in the last 12 months that we've seen our customers spending money in 176 countries across the globe. So what did we say? Well, we said, well, you know what? If you're going to be spending money overseas, you should do that for free. So we have no foreign exchange markup, we have no bank fees, and we have no ATM fees. Just completely free. That's the way it should be. We're the first retail cloud-hosted bank, I said that. We're the first mobile-only bank in Australia, and we're the first bank in Australia, this is important, first bank in Australia with instant issuance. What the hell's that? Previously, and I'm just saying previously like 15 months ago, before we launched, to sign a bank account in Australia, you could sign up a bank account, and then if you were, say, with ANZ, who were the only one that had Apple Pay at the time, if you wanted to get Apple Pay, you could wait a few days and get Apple Pay, or wait for your card to arrive and then scan your card. You can go to a branch if you wanted to, but whatever. Okay, so the average time to sign up a bank account with Up is 2 minutes and 12 seconds. And we have instant issuance with Apple Pay, Google Pay, and Samsung Pay. We're the first in Australia with all three of them. And that means that you can download the app, install it, we give you $5 as a referral, and then you can activate your digital wallet and you can start using it instantly. Right? So now you can sign up a bank account in less than 3 minutes. Go back 15 months, that would take days. So that's pretty cool. Also, we have conversational payments, auto-generated payout I already talked about. We have smart receipts, the first bank probably the first bank in the world, but definitely the first in Australia. I'll talk more about that. And then we did a deal with TransferWise, which is also pretty cool. I'm going to skip over some of the stats, but the numbers are about 1,000 times all of our competitors combined. So we're already in the billions. Our competitors are talking about tens and single-digit millions. I think this is interesting, that's why I put it up, is that we have some technology we've been building for 6 years that identifies the merchants. We don't use our data for any purpose, like we don't do any advertising, we're not selling that data or anything like that, so we have a totally different perspective than all the other banks. We want to use this data for good, and so we use it to help our customers. And so what we do is we built some technology that identifies where you're spending your money and then presents that information back to you. So for example, if you go to Woolies, you could go to 10 different Woolworths all across Australia, and we would show you all of that Woolworths spend in one category. You can see all your Woolworths spend all together. So no other bank in Australia does that. No other bank in the world does that. We've been building this technology for 6 years. I find it interesting also because since we launched, we've identified 100,000 merchants. When I say identify, we have about 1 million merchants or more, maybe it's more than that now, in the system, but 100,000 of them have all the information. So you can see the logo, you can see their address, you can contact details, whatever it is. What's interesting is if I just highlight all those ones, they are what I'll call everyday spenders. That means that upsiders are using Up to run their life. Like they're buying their groceries, they're buying their petrol with Up. So they're not just like dipping their toe in the water, they're actually using it, and that's why we've spent billions and billions of dollars on Up. These ones are interesting because they are sort of like, I know that you might not think they're modern companies, but they're modern services in the sense that you have to have your debit card front of wallet to use it. So if you're using Uber Eats or Uber or paying your mobile phone bill, you could be using any card you like, a credit card, a debit card, a BSB, an account, whatever. People are choosing to use Up, which is really important. And the other thing is interesting is that some of these services are not actually merchants at all. So Afterpay is right up there in our top merchants, and Beemit. Beemit is a money transfer service that's owned by the big banks, and yet it's one of our top 3 merchants, which means that people are putting their Up card into their big bank card wallet, which is awesome. Okay, so engagement is our product. This is my last sort of little piece I wanted to cover off for you guys because I have very limited time and if we want to jump into questions. There's a blog that went #1 in the world talking about going behind the scenes and how we build our welcome pack, so I'll talk a bit about that. We're very engaged on social. We run events. This guy here signed up an Up bank account, saved up his money using roundups and bought his first ever ticket to this conference, which was PAX. 100,000 people coming to a gaming conference, and then he got to meet the founders. Like, it's amazing, right? It's a great story. This guy over here, he's the world champion Mario Karter, and on the side we build Mario Kart software, which has a leaderboard that shows. That was a pause last year, which is awesome. But this is our Mario Karts, and at the top of the screen is the software that we built. It's called Kartistics or Kartalytics, and what it does is it intercepts the video signal when you're playing Mario Kart, and it calculates the score and shows it to you in real time. And so we challenged the world champion, and he beat us. 2 of our guys beat him, but he won overall. We do play a lot of Mario Kart at the office. And we also have technology that we developed ourselves. I'll just put this up here to show you that with a typical bank or a telco or an energy company or whatever, if you want to get customer service, nearly done, it's very hard to get, right? Or you have to wait on hold or whatever. So with Up, we had that same sort of problem. Then we implemented some software and we started doing, we always did everything in-house, but we started hiring people to specifically respond to customers and not just me. And we got our response times down to sub 2 minutes. So now if you want to contact Up and you've got some issue, whatever it is, our average response time is less than 2 minutes to get in touch with our customers. Our roadmap is public, so you can see our roadmap. It tells you what we're building, when we're building it, what we're going to build in the future. It's totally awesome, so it's very transparent for everybody to see everything about Up. And this is what I just want to touch on. Because it's paused and there's like design is embedded in all these sort of things, I just want to touch on this and that's it, which is that we use a centuries-old Heidelberg press to manufacture our welcome packs. The material that we use for the welcome pack is recycled. It's also recyclable. We iterate in the physical in the same way that we iterate in the digital. So we're up to version, I think, 9 or something of our cards now, but this is the first few versions. You can see how it evolved. And we put all the data on the back of the card, so it looks really cool, but I'll just skip on. So I was just saying that we do the same stuff in the digital world. So this is just an example of what our welcome pack looks like. This is the current version. You saw some of the earlier versions. And I just wanted to touch on what we did with our welcome pack and why we did it, and then that's the end of my presentation. We can jump into questions. Anybody who hasn't seen Up, you can download it very easily, very quickly. But I had some screenshots, but I'll just skip them. So that's nice. What does it mean? Okay, well, this is our first welcome pack, and it was reusable, and it was recyclable, and that's great. That was a starting point for us. We designed it all in-house. Like we carved it all out with a carving knife and everything. And then this is our new welcome pack. So it's 30% less cardboard. It costs 30% less, which is good too. It lasts longer because we put this thing on it to help people save $1,000. So now all of our customers can get into good savings habits and they get to reuse their welcome pack rather than just throw it in the bin. And so a bonus for us is that it helps people to save.